In this video, I'm going to show you how long division of whole numbers actually works. And I'll be using base 10 blocks, so let's quickly review what each of these blocks are called. This right here is called a flat. It has 100 individual cubes in it. This is called a long or a rod, and it has 10 cubes in it. And this is just called a cube. It is worth 1. So let's start off with the problem 236 divided by 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is model the dividend 236 because that is the number that I have. I'm trying to split that number into 3 equal groups. So out to the side you can see I have 2 flats for 200, 3 longs for 30, and 6 cubes for 6 ones. I'm now going to make an area where I can split these into 3 equal groups. So I'm just going to draw a little space right here where I can sort them into 3 equal groups. And as I'm doing this modeling, I'm also going to show you the long division out to the side so that we have our number model going on out here and then our visual model going on just right next to it so we can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes. So my first task is to try to take my 2 flats that I have right here, my 200s, and to share them equally with my 3 groups. And the problem is I don't have enough flats, enough hundreds to share them equally in 3 groups, so I can't do that. So in my long division problem, that's where I would put a 0 right above the 2, because what I just did is I tried to share these 200s equally with 3 people, and there were not enough hundreds to give everybody an equal share. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some regrouping. I'm going to take these 2 flats that I have right here, these 200s, and I'm going to exchange them for some more of these longs. Remember that each of these flats is 100, so it is worth 10 longs. So I'm going to exchange this one for 10 and this one for 10. So now that I've made that exchange, I can now start sharing each of my longs equally among my 3 groups. This will take just a minute. But I'm basically just saying 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you for each of these groups, and I want to share every single one of these longs equally. So I'm getting close. I also want to share the 3 from my 30. And I want to keep going until I can't anymore. And at this point, if I tried to share these last 2, if I gave one to this one and then this one to this one, I wouldn't have any for this group. Right now, every group has an equal number of longs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in each group. So I'm at the point where I'm going to have to do some more regrouping. Now let's look back at our long division problem and see if we can figure out what's going on here again. So after my first step, I could not give any of the flats to my 3 equal groups, so each group got 0 flats. So I was left over with 2 flats, but I regrouped those with these 3 longs into 23 longs. Then I split my longs into 3 equal groups, and each group got 7 longs. I've now used up 21 of those longs, and I have 2 leftovers that you can see right here. So now I'm ready to regroup those 2 longs. I'm going to have to exchange them for 10 cubes each. So just as before, once I've made that exchange, I can start sharing these cubes equally among my 3 groups. Remembering to also share the 6 cubes that I had already. And I want to make sure that everything is nice and equal. So I'll keep going here. Running out of a little bit of room here, but I think I can squeeze some onto the end. Oh, I gave 2 to each one there accidentally, so I'm going to give 2 in this one to each one. All right, so there we go. Now I've got 6 cubes in each of my 3 groups, and I have 2 cubes that I have left over here, because if I start giving out one of these to each group, I would not have enough to give an equal number to each group. So these 2 cubes right here represents a remainder. It represents a leftover in this problem. So if I go back to the long division, I had my 2 longs that I couldn't share equally, so I had to regroup them along with these 6 ones that I had left over, or had originally. So that gave me 26 cubes, 26 ones all together. I shared them with my 3 groups, and each group got 8 cubes. That used up 24 of the cubes, and I had 2 leftovers. So if you look at the model that I have here, in each one of my individual groups, in each one of my individual squares, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flats, or 7 longs, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cubes, 78 cubes in each one. And then I have 2 leftovers right here. So my answer is 78 with a remainder of 2. Or in a better way to write that would be that each group is getting 78 full cubes, and then if we tried to share those 2 leftovers, each group would have to get 2/3, because there are 2 cubes that we have and we're trying to share them with 3 people equally. So I'm going to show you one more example. Let's do 513 divided by 4. I'm going to do the same thing as I did last time. I'm going to model the dividend, and I'm trying to share 513 with 4 equal groups. So I'm going to make a spot for that. So here are my 4 equal groups. And out to the side, I'm going to do the long division again. So we have 513 divided by 4. So what I'm going to do first is try to share the 5 flats that I have equally with my 4 groups. So I have 5 flats, trying to divide them or share them equally with 4 different people. Right now it appears that I can do that. If I move 1 to each of my squares here, I have enough for them to each get 1. Obviously I don't have enough for that last person, or for that last flat to be shared. So this last flat over here, if I try to give it out to somebody, not everybody's going to be able to get one. So I'm going to have to do some regrouping. So in my long division, what I just did is I put a 1 on top of the 5, because that's how many each person is going to get, and I just used up 4 of the flats, so I have 1 left. I'm now going to have to regroup that into some longs. And now that I've made my exchange, I can go ahead and start regrouping. Before I do that, though, I'm going to show you on the long division that what I just did is I regrouped that 1 flat into 10 longs plus the 1 long that I already have. So I should have 11 longs altogether, which is what I do have. 10 longs here plus the 1 that I already had gives me 11 longs. And now I can share them equally. I'm going to run out of space here, but I'll try to squeeze it in as best as I can. And now I'm at a point where I can't share these last 3 equally among 4 equal groups. So it looks like each person is going to get 2 longs, and that used up 8 of the longs that I had, so I should have 3 longs left over, which is what I do have when I combine these 2 with this 1, 3 leftovers. So I'm going to have to do some regrouping again and exchange each of these 3 longs for 10 cubes. And on the long division problem, what I just did is I regrouped those 3 longs with the 3 individual cubes that I already had over here. So altogether I should have now 33 cubes, which is what I do have. 30 plus 3 is 33 cubes, and I now can start sharing. So I'm going to equally share all of my cubes, as many as I possibly can. And this is going to take a little bit of time because I have quite a few cubes to share here. So we'll keep going. Got 3 in each group. I'm getting there. 4 in each group. There's 5 for each group. 6. And 7. And it looks like I have enough to make one more group. So it looks like each group is going to get 8 total of those 1s cubes. So I just used up 32 of the 1s cubes, and it looks like I have 1 left over. If I go back to my model now, in each square I have a flat, 2 longs, and 8 cubes, which gives me 1 flat, 2 longs, 8 cubes, plus I have this 1 left over, so I have a remainder of 1. So I have 128 wholes and 1 that I'm trying to split into a group of 4 left over.